Okay, in this lesson we're going to find the area and circumference of a circle. We're also going to look at some examples where we're given the circumference, we're going to find either the missing radius or the missing diameter, depending on what the problem is asking for. So let's take a look at some of these examples. First, let's look at the area of a circle. Now, the area of the circle is the inside of the circle. The formula for area of a circle is A equals pi r squared. And here we could say pi is equal to, or roughly equal to, 3.14, or if you're dealing with fractions, we could say pi is also equal to 22 over 7. Depending on your class or your teacher, you'll be asked to use either 3.14, 22 over 7, or depending if you have a calculator, you may be able to simply input the pi button right into the calculator and calculate that. The circumference is equal to pi times the diameter, or 2 pi r. Now, in this formula here we have the diameter, and this one we have 2 times the radius. But we can see that diameter is actually equal to 2 times the radius. So both formulas are very similar. If we look here, the radius is from the center point out to the end. And if I have another radius going the other way, well, now we're looking at a figure from end to end, which is equal to my diameter. Let's take a look at some examples. In my class, there's three steps I ask my students to follow. First, we're asking for area, so let's start with our formula for an area. So area equals pi r squared. Make a list of our variables, what we're working with. In this case, we're going to use pi for a second. Even though pi is constant, I want you guys to show me that pi is equal to 3.14, and let me know what you're using for pi. And r in this case, r we see here is my radius, and my radius is 3. Second, let's plug into our formula. A equals, so we have 3.14 times r squared. And then our third and final step is to calculate. So we have 3.14, so area equals 3.14 times, order of operations, 3 squared, 9, and then 3.14 times 9, and you should get an area which is equal to 28 and 26 hundredths. Do not forget your units. In this case, it's going to be meters squared. Okay, let's take a look at another example. The next example we're looking at is finding the circumference. Okay, so again, we're going to start with our formula here. So our formula for circumference, if you look back, you'll see circumference. So erase this, circumference is equal to 2 pi r or pi d. In this particular problem, I'm given the radius, so I'm going to go with this first formula here. C equals 2 pi r, where pi is equal to 3.14, and my radius is equal to 3. Our next step, we're going to plug in for this formula. So we have C equals 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times my radius 3. And our last step here, we're going just to multiply. C equals, it's multiplication according to commutative property. We can multiply 2 times 3.14. In this case, I'm going to multiply 2 times 3 first, and then I'm going to get 6 times 3.14. And then my final calculation, 6 times 3.14. If you simply calculate that, you should get an answer of 18 and 84 hundredths. And in this case, it's not area, it's circumference, so it's just meters. And again, the circumference is very similar to perimeter. It's just the outside of the circle. So this length here is 18 and 84 hundredths of a meter long. Let's take a look at our next example. Okay, here we have finding the area again. So in this case, we're given a diameter of 10 centimeters. The formula for area, again, is area equals pi r squared. We're going to use pi equals 3.14. And in this case, I need my radius. Now, the diagram shows me my diameter. So my radius is, we're going to have to cut this in half. So my radius here is only equal to 5 centimeters. So 5 will be my radius. Second, let's plug in. So area equals 3.14 times 5 squared. Third, let's solve. So we're going to say area equals 3.14. We're going to find our exponent first. 5 squared is 25. And again, to get a rough idea of what my answer is going to be, if I just take 3 times 25, I should get an answer of 75. So your answer should be pretty close to 75 to get, to be rough. So if we take 3.14 times 25, we actually get an area equal to 78.5 centimeters squared. Again, so when you're multiplying here, 3.14 times 25, be careful, watch your decimal. And always always think a little logically and say, well, what should my answer be close to? And you can find that out just by multiplying the whole numbers. Okay, our next example. Find the circumference of the same circle. So, C equals 2 pi r or pi d. Now in this case, I'm going to actually use the C equals pi d, simply because in this case the formula has diameter and the figure here actually gives me the diameter. So first, C equals pi d. Pi is going to equal 3.14 in this case. My diameter is going to equal 10. Second step, let's substitute in. So C equals 3.14 times 10. And multiplying by a power of 10, you can simply just move your decimal over 1 time to the right. So C equals 31 4/10 of a centimeter. So the distance around my circle, again, the circumference, similar to the perimeter, the distance around the circle is going to equal 31 4/10 of a centimeter. So we found area, we found distance. Now let's move on to our next type of problem. In this problem it says find the radius or diameter. Now in this case I'm actually looking for the radius, but what it's giving me is giving me the area, 3.14. Now this could be a little tricky, but let's see how let's go back into our formula. So we say area equals 3.14, so it's pi r squared, and we don't know what r is, but r is squared. So here we have our area is equal to 31 4/10. Our radius is unknown. So let's plug into our formula. And pi we have as 3.14. So we have 31.4 is equal to 3.14 times my radius squared. Since we're solving for r, let's first get rid of the 3.14 by dividing both sides by 3.14. So 31.4 divided by 3.14, we see here we get an answer of 10, so r squared is equal to 10. Now we want to solve for r. Everything has an opposite in mathematics. The opposite of squaring something would actually be to take the square root of something. What I do to one side, I do to the other. So if I take the square root of both sides, I have r and r squared, square root of r and r squared, which goes away, leaving me with just r. and the square root of 10. There is no perfect number for the square root of 10. However, we can see the square root of 10 is equal to approximately 3.16 or 3 2/10 inches. Let's take a look at a similar problem, but rather than giving the area, which was a little bit more complicated, a problem you may see is, what if I give you the circumference of 31 4/10 inches? So again, let's start with our formula. C equals 2 pi r, and I'm using this formula because I'm asking for the radius here. So what do I know? Well, I know the pi is equal to 3.14. I know my circumference is equal to 31 4/10, and I'm looking for my radius. So let's go ahead and plug in. So we have 31 4/10 is equal to 2 times 3.14 times my radius. Okay, I'm going to combine like terms here. I have 31.4 equals 6.28 r, and now we have a one-step equation. I'm solving for r, so in order to solve for r I need to get rid of these 6 28/100ths, and I do this by dividing by 6 28/100ths. What I do to one side, let's do to the other side. So we have 6 28/100ths over 6 28/100ths, leaving me with just r. So we have r equals, and if we do the division here, we have 31 4/10 divided by 6 28/100ths, and you should get an answer of 5. And we're talking about the radius, and our circumference was in inches, not inches squared. Excuse me. So the radius here is 5 inches. Let's try another problem similar. Okay, so in this case I have circumference is equal to 18.84 or 18.84 of a meter, and this one I'm actually looking for the diameter in this one. So first step, let's start with our formula. Circumference equals, now rather than using 2 pi r, I'm actually going to use pi d in this case, and again I'm using this one because I'm looking for my diameter. So let's plug in what we have. So we have pi is equal to 3.14, and we're looking for d. D is our unknown. We have c equal to 18.84. So there's three variables here, two variables and one constant. In order to be able to solve for one of them, we have to know either c or d. In this case we know c, so we're going to solve for d. So we have 18 point, let's plug into our formula, so 18.84, which is my circumference, is equal to 3.14 times my diameter d. Now you can see this is just a simply one-step equation. To solve for d, I'm going to divide both sides by 3.14. Okay, so 3.14 divided by 3.14, I'm just left with d. D equals, and then if I do the division, 18 84/100ths divided by 3 14/100ths, we should see we have a diameter equal to 6 meters.